but we're live now. And
Hello.
hey, oh, what's funny is like it actually doesn't tell me that I'm live, but I know from experience that I am live.
I know from experience
yeah.
you are live as well. I am not
I-
talking to a dead Jesse.
I am live. I am live. So, hey, everybody, this is Jesse. I'm here with my boy, Chuck McGee. Chuck is fellow first generation Wim Hof method instructor. We have been friends since 2016, whenever we happened to find ourselves learning Wim Hof method directly from Wim Hof. And ever since then, it's been a crazy ride. Actually, Chuck and I, we shared a room at our master class. We've shared rooms. Yeah, pretty much we're roomies. And actually the last time we shared a room, I think the comment that was made was that it was a room that had big boy beds.
Yeah, bigger beds for the bigger boys.
The bigger boys. So you know, Chuck and I, we are well, hey, we're large and we're in charge. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if we're really in charge of anything.
We're just over 6 feet tall and don't fit well in bunk beds. That's really what it is.
It is hard to get us to fit into bunk beds. When I was in Poland this past well, I guess it was a year ago now.
Yeah.
It's weird how time it's been in this weird warp, you know. But when I was in Poland, I had a bunk bed, and it did feel a bit confining. It was the feet were kind of hanging off the end, and you know, I was just glad that no one was on the bunk above me, because I just felt a little bit of claustrophobic there. But hey, you know, it was soft enough. I was tired enough.
After an 18-hour day of ice baths and walking, any bed's an amazing bed.
Yeah,
but those beds are comfy. So I mean,
tramping around in Poland, in just kind of everything's uphill or downhill, you know, and it's just, you're gonna get a good night's sleep. So hey, today, guys, we're gonna be talking a little bit, and if you have questions, feel free to throw them in there, comments or anything else. And we're gonna be talking a little bit about Wim Hof method and oxygen advantage. And this is something that actually Chuck is in a very good position to talk about, because he's actually certified in both of these techniques, and he uses them on a very regular basis. Right now, Chuck, you use them both on a pretty regular basis.
Daily.
Yeah. And how do you incorporate these two in your life? Like, how does that even look?
Well, it's in the morning. I do the Wim Hof method breath work, and I treat it as taking my lungs and cardiovascular system to the gym.
Yeah.
I take my breath to the gym because it's a conscious exercise.
Right.
And it's meant to kind of get the body a little stressed out, and it's that really great hormetic stress we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I wake up, I have a lot of energy, and for the rest of the day, I breathe, you know, exclusively nasally.
Yeah.
Which is oxygen advantage is based in Buteyko. It's you know, I jokingly call it sports Buteyko.
Let's talk a little bit about Buteyko, because I know that you've really had a deep dive in the past few years in this specific technique. Just for everybody's watching, you know, maybe a little background on what it is and kind of the principles of it, maybe.
So it was developed by a Czech doctor, I think, who worked in Russia. And he was walking around as he was doing his residency. He's walking around these wards, seeing people breathing ineffectively. And he practiced in front of a window when he was stressed out. I'm just trying to remember the story. If I get it wrong and someone's like, "You got it wrong," I'm sorry. I'm just
you gotta just throw it in his face and
get mad, shake your fist at me, and
get angry at it.
Yeah, that'll be the best.
That's how we should approach this. Konstantin Buteyko, I believe, was the guy's name, right?
And he didn't really focus on the sports or athletic side of it. That's why there's no like, this is how you do it athletically. So he wasn't focused on that. He was like more focused on emphysema, anxiety from the breath. And he found most people aren't taking these diaphragmatic breaths. They're breathing light and in the chest. with their
Yeah.
mouth, which is totally stimulating the sympathetic side of their nervous system all day long unconsciously.
Right.
It always has people heightened. And what he was suggesting is, biomechanically correct breaths, breathing as we're intended to, without, the chest rising like this, getting this nice chest expansion here, and having that lateral expansion in the ribs and in the lower ribs here. So you're activating that diaphragm. Slow, low, and deep with a full exhale, and just exclusively nasal breathing all day long. I'm not sure he was the biggest proponent of taping your mouth shut, but he said, make sure your mouth is closed at night.
Right.
I tape my mouth shut at night, so I don't breathe through my mouth. I don't want to breathe through my mouth. It'll give me a stressful sleep, and it'll raise my blood sugar as a diabetic.
Right. And that's something. So this is one of those things where when the last time, I think it wasn't the last time we got together, but one of the last times, we were all having some beers and you're like, yeah, that'll kill me, Jesse. So no thanks. You're a type 1 diabetic. And that's something that you've seen improvements through your practice.
Absolutely.
And by the way, hi, Mad Max. Good evening. Nice to have you here. So one of those things you've noticed is actually a change in blood sugar. And this is something that I think, of course, obviously if a person is diabetic, but then even just people who don't have diabetes, right?
Yeah.
We do see a change in blood sugar, and that's part of our autonomic nervous system. We've got
overall stress and blood pressure.
Right. Right. Absolutely. All of these things are connected. It's one of those things where, our very primal need, like for instance, when you are in a state that is like a fight or flight state, right? If you think about why that state even exists,
that's the key,
right? Why does it exist?
Why would my body need to be in this state? And what state does my body think it's in because I'm breathing this way?
Awesome. And John just says he's been looking forward to us having this conversation for a while. He wants to hear what we have to say. Hey, John, we got a lot to say. Awesome. Glad you're here, my friend. But yeah, welcome. Why does it exist? And if you think about this, for the vast majority, and this is a really hard thing, I think, for all of us. And I even if we intellectually know it, it's hard to really fathom the difference between the vast majority of human history and today.
Now. Well, and a lot of people, they disassociate human with animal. We are mammals.
Yeah.
And if we look at how other mammals are acting and what are their bodies doing when they're breathing these states, you can see clear echoes to how it affects us.
Right.
And the reason I did this deep dive is because, as a diabetic, when they're like, oh, you can help influence your blood sugar by breathing, I was like, that
sounds ridiculous. It sounds
okay.
The average person.
Yeah.
Which I remember for me, it was, you can influence your immune system. And I was like,
no, exactly.
This nonsense, right? Yeah. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
You're right. And they're like, okay, so when you're breathing quickly, and this is why I love the Buteyko side and Oxygen Advantage is because it's about, getting that correct biomechanical breath, breathing with the right cadence, having the right blood chemistry. Mm-hmm. So Buteyko is about all of those things together and right. Breathing in the manner that's best for you. And then Oxygen Advantage is taking that to the next level for performance and how to do that and how to be a nasal breather while performing at your athletic best. And it's pretty incredible. So by combining that with the Wim Hof method, mm-hmm. I've got my all day exercises, because Oxygen Advantage and Buteyko do have exercises you can do, but the baseline is try and get your breathing correct and light and breathe through your nose all day long and mm-hmm. make it effortless. There's exercises to build up your CO2 tolerance. And by practicing the Wim Hof method on the side, I'm getting a double dose. I'm consciously exercising everything rather than more passively throughout the day. So they marry well together. And how that affected me as a diabetic is when you're mouth breathing, because we're off gassing too much carbon dioxide, our veins constrict. And if your veins constrict, that raises your blood pressure, which raises your resting heart rate. And if you're breathing through the mouth, your body thinks, you're under stress. So it might be releasing adrenaline in your body throughout the day. That's what mine was doing. Adrenaline contains glucose, so you can move. And then my blood sugar would just go whoosh all day long. It just start to spike.
Absolutely. And in most of human history, right? All of human history, except for pretty much this little blip where we've had modern life.
Couple hundred years.
Yeah. Most of human history, this was only
Survival.
to our advantage. It
Yeah.
was a wonderful thing because you need to raise that blood sugar because, okay, we're going to need to work. We need to run away from the animal
or catch the animal.
Catch the animal, right? We have to, we need these capacities, and they were and it's what got us through eons, of history that we don't even know all of it, right? Because it's so much, I mean, pretty much all of human history almost. And it's like, okay, now we have a lot of bottom-up signals to our autonomic nervous system that tell us, hey man, you're in a state of fight or flight. You need to get in a state of fight or flight. And just like what you were saying, I love what you were just saying about that, because what those things do, it turns into this feedback mechanism. You start realizing, oh man, I feel some adrenaline. Maybe I'm freaking out. And then you start to freak out.
But the worst part about all of that is how our brain works against us in this scenario. Yeah. Our brain likes making the same decision again and again and again. And if we're breathing 20 to 25,000 times a day, suboptimally through the mouth into the chest, that muscle memory and that neural reinforcement is so strong. So when we try and switch to something that is logically, physiologically correct, our brain says, I don't like this. Why are you doing this? This is weird. You need to stop. And we get feelings of being uncomfortable because the animal side of us goes, I don't know how this is I don't like this. We got to pull away from this. This could be dangerous, when it's the most logical step, physiological, correct step we're supposed to take. And we still get that resistance. Our body goes. So we know it's correct. And like, as you said, even if we hear something and we're like, oh, influence our diabetes, influence our immune system. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's because there is something inside that's trying to protect us, right?
Yes.
And it's trying to do,
as you say, it's what saved us for hundreds of thousands of years. And now it's punching us in the face. Like,
right. And the thing is, like, one of the things that I often find with clients, and then also, with people, emails and messages and comments on YouTube videos, is I've started breath work, but for some reason, I actually feel, even though I know I'm supposed to feel more relaxed, I'm starting to feel more tension.
Yeah.
And you get that too, I'm sure, a lot.
Always. You're reforming a new neural pathway and your body is resisting you. And this is natural. And that's what's so crazy about it is you might, I see you're dedicated and I see you're enjoying this. Just be ready for, the fact that your body may give you some resistance. And that's why I like going to the ice and finding that calm breath. Right. Put me in that stressor. Yeah. Put me in that stressor. Now, instead of tensing up and letting that autonomic stuff take hold, because I'm human, I can control my breath. Okay, I'm in a stressor. I don't want to breathe fast through the mouth. I want to breathe in 4, out 6 through the nose. Surrender to this stress and let it pass through me rather than meet it head on and have it like inside me. And you can see that. And sometimes that's good. In an MMA fighter, they get that stress and suddenly they're lit. They're on fire. Right. But we don't always need to be on fire. Sometimes you just need to let it go.
Even the MMA fighter, right? We don't want to be too lit, too on fire. And that's one of the things, like, especially Oxygen Advantage. And whenever I train athletes using basically a lot of the same thing, it's all breathing. I think at the end of the day, this is all breathing, and it's all working with the same lungs and diaphragm and the muscle, same accessory muscles, all these things. It's just different people have discovered different ways of looking at it. And then really at the end of the day, they did. Yeah. And so a lot of times a person is about to go into a high stress situation, like a MMA fighter, so whatever.
Or an interview.
Exactly.
Or if you have anxiety, the grocery store, or driving down the freeway. It could be anything. And what's great is that's all your perspective, because our worlds are self-centric. They have to be, because we're perceiving it. Right. So whatever brings you anxiety, that calm breath and the cold training can abate it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can actually downshift that. I want to go to a few questions that I'm seeing here in the comments, because I think what we're talking about goes right into a lot of these. Just a few comments here. Let's see here. Sim, you're asking a little bit about the O2 trainer, and I am not 100% sure. I think I'm familiar with that. Is that the one
mask,
where it's like,
that's the resistance mask.
is it a resistance mask, or is it the one where you put it in your mouth and it's like it gives you resistance on the exhale? I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know. There's so many things. I don't know if there's a device called the O2 trainer, but a lot of the
So
O2
Sim,
training devices I've seen are the full face masks with the restrictive.
right. I've seen them both. Sim, if you would clarify that, maybe we can talk about that here in just a minute. George 172 says, I use Wim Hof method when I'm alone in my room, and Oxygen Advantage when the situation doesn't allow me to use Wim Hof method. For example, when I'm in class or hanging out with friends and I need something quick but still effective. I think that is obviously, I think both Chuck and I, we both had our time whenever we would go out and just let people see how weird we are, and we would do Wim Hof method, and people would be like, oh my God, is he okay? But I will say, I don't do that anymore. And specifically because you don't have to, right? I mean, it's great if that's something. And I know I was talking to Miles Lucas, Miles, he said he wanted to make sure that he felt comfortable, just super comfortable with himself. So he went to the mall and did Wim Hof method until he just felt like, okay, I can do this. And just people were walking by and stuff. But yeah, I think it's great to, when we think about breath work, it's, a lot of times I think some people think it has to be this one session or this one, like a workout. There are different ways, and you're always breathing, right? So yeah, whenever you need to be quiet, if you're in a library or something like that, or you're with your friends, yeah, apply what you know. And Oxygen Advantage is much quieter. It is. So let's see here. So John asks, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, actually, Chris, I don't want to skip you. He's a motocrosser. He says this is very intriguing. He says, never suffered from anxiety before in a day of my life. He says he's awesome. 31. Hey, congratulations, man.
Yeah.
About a year ago on the way home, was trying to sing a song out of my vocal range. Let's see. He said, finished the song, started feeling an adrenaline rush, freaked out. What song? Was it like Pantera or something like slowly blacked out until I ran into a ditch. Since then, anytime I feel it coming on, immediately work on breath. Well, yeah, good.
I have a helpful hint for that.
Yeah.
The ice cubes in the hands. If you're in a place at home, if you're in a car, I always have ice cubes in my water bottle. It's because I like cold water.
Yeah.
And if you feel that coming on, one, it might be you have not a very strong CO2 tolerance. So you might have an abundance of CO2 in your body. So the first thing you can do to calm that down, big mouth exhale. And blow off your body's excess CO2. If you've been mouth breathing, chances are your body's it's in a too high adrenaline state. So hold your breath for a second. Slowly breathe in through the nose, in 4, out 6. Go to your freezer and grab an ice cube for each hand. Focus on that external stimulus. Get it off that internal one that the mind is giving you, that's spinning up that internal loop that we fall into.
Yeah.
Stutter that feedback loop with a ice cube in each hand. It's going to be uncomfortable, and that's what we're going for.
Right.
Embrace that discomfort. Yeah. Catch your breath, in 4, out 6. Hold for a second at the bottom. Fall into that breath work. Your heart rate has to slow down. Your heart cannot beat quickly if you're breathing slow.
Yeah. This is actually answering John's question about slowing heart rate. Let's talk a little bit about, I know you're a fan of 4-6 breathing, and it's a fantastic cadence. One of the beauties about it is how many breaths you're going to take in a minute, right? And the difference. And maybe you can explain that a little bit, why you use that so much.
Well, I aim for in 4, out 6 and a hold of 1 second after each breath.
Okay, nice.
And the main reason is the optimal human breath is about 5.5 breaths a minute, or an 11-second breath. So if I'm breathing in 4, out 6, because I have a little bit longer of an exhale, I'm favoring my parasympathetic side of my nervous system. I'm favoring that rest and relax, just to stay calm. So in 4, out 6 to stay calm. You can breathe in 5.5, out 5.5, or, in 6, out 6, whatever makes it easiest for you to count.
Right. Yeah.
And you'll feel a difference. You'll still hit that calm state, but I like being a little more calm. I have a little bit of anger to deal with. So I like to stay a bit calmer. So in 4, out 6 to stay calm through the day with the 1 second hold. And I try and hit this as much as I can. And so by doing that, I'm breathing 5.5 times a minute. The average person is breathing 20 to 25 times a minute. Yeah. So that's huge. 20 to 25 times a minute. That's a breath like every 3 seconds. So your heart rate is responding to that. It's beating quicker. And if you're up into the chest, it's shallow, and your heart's beating fast, your blood pressure's up, your body's stressed. And by switching to that nasal breath, in 4, out 6, I'm adding more nitric oxide to my body, because you only get that when you nasal breathe. That's a vasodilator, so that's going to calm your body down even more. When you hum, you have 15 times the more saturation of nitric oxide in your blood than normal, so that helps bring you calmer. So by breathing in this manner, I'm just kind of pushing the needle into calm, clear, open-mindedness all day long, rather than being just wired. And instead of like reacting to all the stimulus, I can anticipate it, see it coming, just be like, nope.
Just dodge that. Yeah. Another thing I love about humming is that it does lengthen the breath naturally, right? You're giving yourself that resistance. And exactly what you said, you're adding a potentator to your nitric oxide, which, man, just relax those arteries and veins. We got to open them up, guys. We over caffeinate, we over breathe, and we're constantly doing that.
If you look at this improper breath, my hands will rise with my chest and my diaphragm's not moving.
Right.
If I'm doing that, my chest is rising. This is shoulders and neck all day long, just getting wrecked. Yeah. And if I can relax down into it and get, the diaphragm to expand and my chest to open up. Now, instead of adding tension with every breath is this deep movement within my body, and it's a massage, and it's so nice. Yeah. It's such a nice state of being. And I can choose to either be, okay, what are we doing next?
Yes.
Or, all right, let's go.
And that is the difference. We actually do have that choice, and this is one of those weird things where, for whatever reason, we have the capacity to put breathing on automatic pilot, right? Which is what all other animals do. I mean, they can't control it. And we have the capacity to control our breathing. And the theory is that whenever we developed the ability to speak, we had to have that ability to modulate our breath. And guys like me and you, we really put that to the test. Chuck and I are both talkers. Chuck, I someday I can't wait to come see him he does stand-up comedy too. So and the comedy, it's a little blue so far from what we go back and forth. but you know what, for this channel, but I can't wait to see him do stand-up comedy. Of course, Chuck is also a master thespian. And good at the theater stuff, because whenever we were in San Jose. Was that 2019 or 2018?
2019.
That was 2019. Yeah. Just ran the stage like a boss.
Being a stage manager it's just organization on like a really retentive level. I got that. It's the same as working in a bar. Like, you got 300 drunk people that you kind of got to
manage.
You got to manage.
You got to manage it.
It's the theater world is amazing. I love it. I love everything I've learned from it, and I still use it every day. I mean, like, I've had someone joke, so you have a degree in acting. What do you use it for?
Yeah.
I give group presentations all the time in front of a lot of people. I'd say I use it pretty regularly.
Well, Shakespeare did say the whole world's a stage, right?
It's true.
So there you go. You've got a degree in the whole world.
Well, so you have a degree in English, so you get to write really well. I'm very envious of that. I can speak what you say, but if you ask me to write it down, it'll be some sort of caveman speak. Jesse, write good book. Chuck, read book like.
Well, actually, it is one of those things where I I was going to try to do the voicing for my own book. I was trying to do the audio book, and I just don't have the setup for it. And also reading it aloud, I really wanted to do it. I really so bad wanted to do it, but reading it aloud, I just, as I was practicing and I was like, okay, this is going to take a lot longer than I have to give. So I did all of the voicing for, like, there's a few, I think there's like 4 hours of guided breathwork sessions that you get with the audiobook, and it's me. And then there's music and all kinds of cool stuff. Chuck, the other day, I don't know if I told you about this. I was hoping to get it out for Christmas, didn't get it out for Christmas. And there's a lot of these quality checks whenever you do this kind of publishing. And on New Year's Day, actually it was New Year's Eve, I got an email and I was like, oh, cool. It came through. There was a slight problem with the sizing of the cover. And for that, they had to kick it right back. And it's another 2 to 4 weeks. I'm like, it's just a few pixels. It's just a few pixels. So you talk about some anger breathing, some anger management.
Oh.
You know, it was like, come on. And so, yeah, so it will be out. Just guys, for those of you guys watching, it will be out within approximately 2 weeks. Hopefully, I'm really, really hoping. Unless they find something else. And fortunately, they give you a list of all the things they find. So unless I didn't fix the problem correctly, it will be out 2-ish weeks. But yeah, it was kind of a crazy thing. Let's see here. I'm going to go to a few comments and questions here. Sim said, okay, for me, the O2 trainer completely solved my bugging respiratory problems, and my breaths overall feel so much stronger. No more doctor meds. Well, awesome.
Congratulations.
Wim Hof method is much more intense as well since training with the O2. And love your stuff, guys. Hey, thanks so much, my friend. I didn't see. Okay, so he did say it's a resistance on the inhale. So I think it's like the one you were talking about. It's like kind of like the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that we do also see, and I'm sure you see this a lot of times, is this you were talking about earlier, when it comes to neuromuscular control. You know, we have these dysfunctions that we learn, and it's not it's not your fault. It's not we live in the modern world. Chuck and I both had, just ugly,
suboptimal, ineffective.
Yeah,
it's a great way to put how we started.
Yeah, it's probably kind. It's, for me, just awful breathing patterns, and I was constantly having anxiety and even sometimes like panic attacks because of malfunctions in my breathing patterns, and sometimes it just takes some resistance for you to be able to notice all of the different stations. I call them stations on that muscle contraction, right? So whenever you have your arm, you have a lot of different stations, a lot of different angles, and sometimes it takes resistance for you to actually feel that. Okay, what is exactly this part versus this part?
Are you perhaps talking about interoceptive focus, Jesse?
Preach it. Exactly. Well, it is helpful, and
to have that resistance to feel the muscle, to know how to move it. It's like,
yeah, and
so true.
Yeah, one of the things whenever I was, I used to do before the whole crisis, I did breath work at the hospital for health professionals, and all of them are just stressed all the time. And now I can only imagine what it is now. They need it more now than ever. And of course, I have quite a few on my Patreon that use it. And so if you're needing breath work, it's there. But basically, what I always said was breath work is focus work. And we really, there's a lot of, a lot of people are like, well, okay, you're just, okay, I guess I'm done. No, dude, there's so much to it and that's why we call it a practice. It's one of those lifelong things that it takes a long time and you're always kind of honing and finding, little areas where we can improve, and where, there might be, okay, well, yeah, I've kind of figured that out. You can also provide just for those of you guys who, yeah, the O2 masks, the nice thing about it is it does provide that resistance. The first step though,
it also pulls a little bit of extra CO2. So you're getting the oxygen resistance, and because it's pulling a little bit of that CO2 in the mask, it's just incrementally higher. You're helping with your CO2 tolerance as well, which will allow you to take bigger, deeper breaths and longer pauses between your breaths, because it's not a lack of oxygen or an abundance of oxygen that tells your body to breathe. It's your resistance to carbon dioxide.
Right. Yeah. There's that tolerance that we have. And it's something that for the vast majority of people who live in the modern world, it's way below.
It should be here.
Yeah.
Mouth breathing, we'll just keep lowering it until suddenly you hold your breath for a second and it's just, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
You're lit. And so by practicing nasal breathing, by raising your CO2 tolerance with the exercises from Buteyko, with the exercises from Oxygen Advantage, and breathing correctly is important when you're doing the Wim Hof method stuff too, because as you say, and I stole this from you, and I'm not sorry. Practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. So practice correctly.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because we're constantly training, and that's why our posture suffers. That's why, or it prospers depending on what you're doing. And, I've got a 5-year-old and I know you're taking a break, and I'm watching the clock. I'm not going to get you in trouble with the wife, but you've got a newborn, and, all of those dysfunctions from modern living, like chairs and, all these things, and having the cell phone and the typing, they're not there yet, and I have a 5-year-old, and, I watched him, he was 2 years old. He could go down for a perfect squat and then come stand right back up, and I've watched him, and I do see the effects of, you've had a little too much chair time, son. It's not just screen time, chair time. I'm going to take that chair away from you.
My kids, they're like, you focus on the weirdest things, Dad. You're like, don't walk that way. Can you please close your mouth when you're breathing? Like no one else's parents tell them to close their mouth when they're breathing or to walk better. I'm like, they should. It's true. What are they telling their kids to do? And they're like, behave. I'm like, well, do that too then.
Oh, Chuck, I hear you. No, actually, this morning I dropped my son off at kindergarten. He's a kindergartner, and he just naturally, he and I will go outside, and we'll be barefoot, and it's winter time here in Indiana. I mean, we're in the 40s and 50s, which, for my Celsius people, what is that? That's like
10 ish.
Yeah, 4 to 10 area. And, it's nice and cold. And so I dropped him off this morning, and what he does, he puts his coat in his backpack because he can't go to recess without the coat. He knows that that's the rule, right? But whenever he never wants to wear it in the car or to walk into school. So I drop him off. He's got the coat in his backpack. The principal's like, "Oh, where's your coat?" He's like, "It's in my bag." He and I are both short sleeves, and I'm proud of my son. I don't want to come across as, I'm not forcing him. He's just having fun with it. He's like, we go outside and we're getting the cold. So, but yeah,
this happened to my son in kindergarten too. They brought me in and had a talk with me.
Oh no.
Yeah. They're like, why doesn't Drake have a coat? Drake has a coat. It's in his backpack. Why doesn't he wear it? Because he doesn't need it. He should wear a jacket in the cold. Nuh-uh. Sure, he'll get sick if he
and to be fair, obviously, we tell our kids to stay out in the cold in a dangerous way.
No, but play as soon as you feel cold, put on a coat, and he does, because he's not an alpha bro. Yeah, if he's cold, he put on his coat. He's not trying to push past the pain, yo. He's gonna do it, and so will your kid. So can't we just let him be him?
Yeah, exactly. And learning, and actually we almost teach our kids not to have introception by, saying, "No, you're cold." I'm not. I remember being a kid, I was like, "I'm fine." Now, I mean, obviously you got to watch out for kids, because in the cold they'd have less body, surface, and there's all sorts of things. And no, I'm not letting my son in the ice bath with me just yet. but
Same with me.
Yeah.
He's gone in the ice bath by himself and he's out in 10 seconds because he's like, no.
I'll let him touch it.
I'll let him touch it. Yeah,
feel it.
play.
But I'm not saying, hey, let's go do some serious cold training. It's all fun. It's all play. It's all, and it's all optional. If he didn't, he's asking to do it. I'm like, all right, we'll see, and we'll go from there. And I'm not gonna, it's always with supervision, but that's the thing where it's like actually we over Christmas break, I introduced him to Star Wars. And he's an absolute huge fan. And I was always afraid of Darth Vader when I was a kid. So I wasn't sure when I should let him in on that Star Wars experience. But he's like Darth Vader is kind of his favorite because he gets to make the sound, And so he was doing in and out through the mouth. And I was like, no, Darth Vader does it like this. And so now I've got him practicing proper breathing. I'm like, okay, let's see if we can keep this. Let's see if we can keep it going. So he's like, hey, Dad, here's Darth Vader. And it's doing diaphragmatic breathing. It's perfect. And actually, going back to those O2 trainers, one of the freest way to train to have some resistance with your diaphragm is nasal breathing, right? Because just think about it, that's why people switch to the mouth so quickly. Is because it's easier, right? Exactly. There's no resistance.
Not more effective, but easier.
Yes.
Completely ineffective. And I'm not, please, again, shake your fist at me if you're angry. But I'm not saying these athletes out there who mouth breathing aren't performing phenomenally at amazing levels. And what gets me is they're performing that high while breathing ineffectively.
Right.
Like imagine what they could do if they were breathing as optimally as they can. Like that just blows my mind. I'm not saying what they're doing is not Herculean, and I'm not denigrating the performance they have now. All I'm saying is if you mouth breathe while performing exercise, there's an easier, better way. It's going to be harder to train to get there.
Right. At first.
But the nose is like a muscle. And like you said, you first you need that reflex, and you don't get a defined body by not working those muscles. You have to exercise those muscles. Mm-hmm. Same with the nose.
Yes. I was really resistant to that because I was like, how is that a thing? But then the more I got into it, like now, even with Wim Hof method breathing, I'll do all nasal inhales. And I'm like, unless the only time I recommend, the only time I say, okay, I'm just going to do mouth breathing is if I really want to go fast, or if I for instance, if for some reason that day, maybe I have a little bit of nasal, or maybe it's kind of hurt my ear or something like that, or I don't want to get too crazy with it. You have to obviously be within your reason, but then again, before I do that breath work, I do stuff to raise my CO2 levels, which opens up my blood vessels. Mm-hmm. Little Chuck tip that he showed me. And then Buteyko. I always like to do a little Buteyko, and that clears me out. And then in through the nose, out through the mouth with my Wim Hof method breath work in the morning. So we've been neglecting.
Let's not do that. Let's go through them as fast as we can without tangenting.
Comments.
Which is going to be impossible.
There's going to be tangents because it's us, and we don't get to see each other. We don't get to see each other and talk to each other enough. And so it's always awesome to have an opportunity. And this was not planned, folks.
No,
this literally happened. Like, hey, don't forget tomorrow's that thing. Oh, hey, Chuck, I'm going on live. Do you have a second? So I'm really thankful that we just get to hang out here a little bit. Let's see. We have a question actually for Chuck. It's from Neox. Is how long do you plunge for? So I'm assuming that's your cold plunges. What's your usual cold exposure regimen?
3 minutes.
About 3 minutes, and that would be in an ice bath.
Yeah, normal day, 2 to 3 minutes. If you're just beginning, you don't need to go more than 2 minutes. Yeah. It's not necessary. Try and let that stress hit you. Let it take your breath away, and find that in 4, out 6 breath.
Yeah.
Relax into the moment. And once you've hit that relaxed place and you can hold that for a couple seconds, get out. That should take about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Don't really compete against the timer, because then you're not listening to your body.
Right.
Just listen to your body and use a timer if you're not really sure on how to listen to your body yet.
That's a great point. That's one of the biggest reasons why we even talk about time, how many breaths, because there's a lot of scaffolding that we need because we just don't know how to listen to our bodies.
Right.
And it's not like, hey, you were bad, but no, it's just like, okay, in order to learn, you do need some structure. And then from there, you can start to just say, I'm going to stay in the cold as long as I stay in the cold.
Yeah.
You know,
and I don't normally time it. There are days when, I like to have music playing.
Yeah, I always do too. Yeah.
And I just know the lengths of certain songs. So
Right. Yeah.
I'll play a song and, I'll get out before they're done singing or after the next one, but I'll train them together and I'll be like, okay, if I hit this song and I'm calm and I'm fine, I always like to get out when I'm calm and fine.
Yes.
If I'm to the point where I'm starting to get uncomfortable, I've pushed too far and I need, so I like to just sit and relax. And, there are some times where I'll stay a little bit longer and I'll let myself get a little colder and try and warm myself up to see if I can stay but I'm not trying to push my body. I'm just trying to surrender to that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't really time those sessions. I don't know how long those are.
That's one of those things where I like I'll go off and on. I know that especially if I've been traveling or if I've taken a break from serious training, then I'll say, okay, there's some milestones I want to hit on a regular bit. I'll kind of get back into a schedule of like, okay, I'm going to start with a 2-minute ice bath and I'm going to just kind of make sure I'm good with that. And okay, checking the levels of kind of how I feel and where am I, I think there's sometimes where it's useful. And then other times, like you say, a lot of times, sometimes I think another thing that people sometimes forget is that even after you've trained for years, like Chuck and I have, there's periods of times whenever you're like, I just don't feel like going into the cold today. I was like, man, I got things going on. I'm busy. I mean, Chuck's got this newborn. I mean, the house is, full of kids or whatever. You've got a life and you're like, maybe you just haven't been able to train in a while. And then you're like, man, I don't even know if I want to do it today. And you'll think of excuses. And one of the things that I like to do is just say, well, at least I'm going to go and feel the cold. I'm just going to feel it. And that sets the bar so low, it sets the bar. Okay, all I'm going to do, I'm going to splash in and maybe I'll just come right out. But what you do is you set yourself up. You've overcome this small little hurdle. When you get in, you're like, oh yeah, here it is again. I know what this is. I'm going to stay. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to stay. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to get in it. And like I say, I do the songs a lot too. And I got into just different songs, especially early on before I really had a very good timing system because I only had my phone and I was like, I don't want to get that close to the ice bath.
Smart move.
And so I was like, okay, this song is 3 minutes or this song is 2.5 minutes or, and it was a good way. Whenever we were training to go to Colorado, I was doing 10-minute ice baths every single day. And I was just like, I am not going to let this, I don't know what the Iceman's going to throw at us. So I want to be prepared. I don't do that anymore. I look for cold exposure just for the health benefits, for the mindset, the mental benefits. Normally, and that's that. I think sometimes we get too hung up on time, but other times it's good for a check. All right, so we got tons of other stuff. Let's see here. So hey, David says he's off of anxiety meds, but almost relapsed due to attacks of anxiety. Jumped onto meditation, Wim Hof method, and cold exposure. Now I feel like I can beat this anxiety nonsense. Well, good for you, my friend. Good for you.
I mean, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Aiken, I think he might have read my book, or maybe he's in my. Aiken, are you in my Patreon club? The O2 trainer is similar to the reverse straw technique. So one of the ways you can also enhance the tension for inhales is using your lips as resistance. So, I mean, it really, you can, and the cool thing is you can decide how much tension you want to do. So, and the nice thing is, okay, I really want to slow this down. Yogis, you might use like ujjayi breath or something. And exactly, they'll use specifically, okay, I'm going to use one nostril. Sometimes we call the ujjayi breath like ocean breathing. Whenever we put some strain in the back of our throats on the inhale and the exhale. There's different ways that we can do it, and that people have figured out how to do it. For a lot of if you're in my Patreon club, I've got different breathwork sessions that do focus on strengthening your breathing mechanics and strengthening that diaphragm using the reverse straw technique. So hey, good thinking there, Aiken. That you're right on the money. Let's see.
You can actually
David,
use a real straw too if you want.
you can actually absolutely. Like
As a parent, I've got lots of those. Thick ones, like the big thick ones they have at restaurants, that's great for less resistance. The little ones, then you can stack up 2 or 3 little ones. Who knows? Play around, have fun.
That's fun. Ingenuity. Of course, I have actually seen on social media people selling small metal straws and as devices for breath work. And it's like, hey man, I guess, we all got to make a living, but it's just a straw.
It's just a straw. It came in a 4-pack. They're selling me one. Just give me all 4 at least.
I can get the curly Q ones. I can get all the fancy kind at the store.
Watch your breath come into your lungs with our new fancy. That's a Mickey Mouse straw. I can see Mickey. It says Disney World on it. It's got people buy them. They go crazy for them. Or like
it is true.
The masks that block out light. You mean a sleep mask?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's a sleep mask with headphones. You have both of these things in your home. Put on your head. You don't need to buy.
Sometimes you can MacGyver things. Other times, there's some things out there that are just fantastic. I don't want to bash on all of it, but a lot of times you got to just think, well, how can I do this? Even just with my own mouth. Let's see here. But David says, in fact, he said, okay, this is David was talking about getting off the anxiety meds just a second ago. He said, in fact, when I hit it hard, I was hit with COVID. He got COVID. Now my his breathing is better after COVID because he's practicing breath work that whole time. So he used your time wisely.
Yeah, good job.
And I'm so happy.
Congratulations on surviving.
Yeah, you've gotten through it healthy. So that's good news. And Simple Jim, my friend, hey brother, I'm glad you're here. He says breathwork and Wim Hof method.
Great name.
Isn't that an awesome name?
Great name.
Yeah, and he says Wim Hof method and breathwork in general has helped me conquer my anxiety and issues as well. That is so cool. Hickory says, how do you do it? We love you. Well, hey brother, we love you too, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Jackie says a lot. Let's see. Folks, thanks for all the info and practical stuff. I'm working in a really technical hip hop album, and this stuff is enabling me to nail the hard rhyme schemes and still keep my crack habit. Well, maybe not so much on the crack habit, but congratulations on your hip hop.
If you got to aspire to something, crack's a hell of a beast.
That's. I guess you went all the way to the top. So,
you can't rise from the bottom if you're not actively driving towards it. Like the rest, the mindset's there, but I don't know. It's your life. You make the choice. I just don't know. Crack's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, I've heard.
Maybe go Snoop's route and stick with weed.
Yeah,
if you're gonna choose one, go for herbage. Don't. But congratulations on being able to kick your crack habit. If that's your goal on health, strength, and happiness, I'm going to celebrate you as you reach it.
So. We've all got our methods, I guess. Let's see here. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see. And Hickory says, oh my God, I almost never wore a coat to school. Why didn't I have anyone there to applaud me? Well, we applaud you now, my friend. We applaud you now. Let's see.
Well done.
And he also makes the joke that there's an iPad app that does the parenting for us. Yeah, we've all heard about that.
What's the TV since the 40s, man?
Yeah,
the TV's just gotten portable and more effective. Thank you, TV.
Oh man. So Simple Jim, he says he's really into Kapalabhati or skull shining. Yeah, he says it's fantastic for anyone who hasn't tried it. Absolutely, Kapalabhati. That's the one where it's the active exhale and the passive inhale with the low diaphragm. That's fantastic. It's in. If you guys haven't checked out my book, I do have instructions on how to do that, and I'll have that in the link below after we do this broadcast here. Let's see here.
Your book's actually like within reach. It's this one.
Hey, I like it. There it is. Thank you, brother. You know, I have this awesome problem, but it's actually turning into kind of a problem right now, that I can't keep. Like every time I get a box of books in to do the signed copies that I send out, I can't, like, they sell out instantly. And I had this Wim Hof method weekend that I'm doing that just kind of came up out of nowhere. It's in Wisconsin, out in the middle of nowhere, at a golf resort, and I'm going to be going this weekend. And I was wanting to bring everybody a copy of my book, but I don't have any. so, all I have, actually, let's see, I have this
Interesting place to be in.
Yeah. I'm
commendable.
Not complaining. All I have is this one here. This is my author copy because it's got this line across. I can't exactly. It says not for resale, not for resale, not for resale. So can't really use that one.
Mine doesn't have that. Mine's
Yours is the real deal, the print version, and I will not only sign it, but I'll put like I don't know. I'll just inscribe messages of Chuck. Actually,
I want you to sign it on this page because it's my favorite page, the one that says the decoder ring.
The decoder ring. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's, I feel like when it comes to breath work, it is something, there's a lot of different voices, right? There's a lot of different styles and things that people hear about, but it really all is breath. It's all dealing with the same things, your same physiology. We're dealing with, making adjustments, and sometimes certain breath work, it will it'll be a stressor. Other kinds will send signals, that we're always working within the same construct. So it's one of the things I love is how so far, in the world of breath work, I don't see a lot. I'll see some people, but I don't see a lot of people just like saying my way is the only way, and you're the other ways suck. And, there's some, but for the most part,
there was a little bit of that like 3 or 4 years ago, but a lot of the bigger practitioners have really come through. And it's just like, Patrick McEwen he's in his last 50-second blurb he put out on his Instagram for Oxygen Advantage is, I like the Wim Hof method. It's a great way to consciously stress your body. Just make sure you're breathing correctly when you're doing it. That's his big thing. Just make sure you're breathing right and then go for it.
Yeah.
Get that foundational mechanics right. And that's really what they're all for. Get your foundation correctly.
Yes.
Then start to play.
It's just like anything else. I don't care how much you practice, sprinting or swimming. If your form is wrong, you are limiting yourself from day one. And again, going back to the quote that you stole from me, which I stole from somebody else, it's just a long list of stealing, is practice makes permanent. It's something that no matter what happens, if you practice it long enough, you're going to create pathways in the brain that you can reprogram. But it's the more you practice those, the bigger that pathway is going to become, and the more difficult it will be to change it. So starting off with the base is the key. So Papa Geek, he says, oh man, Papa Geek, Papa Geek is always getting on me for my Celsius conversion. I am getting better. Okay. 5
He was
Fahrenheit.
right. You said 40 degrees was like,
yeah, I think I was right. I don't know.
It was kind of I checked it up on the internet. Okay. 40 degrees Fahrenheit is 4.4 degrees Celsius. I was the one who said 10 degrees. I was wrong.
I don't know if you were there for that, Papa Geek, but I'm just going to flex that real quick. I was converting Fahrenheit into Celsius previously. Okay, 5. So this is where it's hard. So this is how I've been doing my conversion. So you subtract 32 and then you divide by 2. So if it's 5 Fahrenheit, okay, I'm going to try to do this on air. So so we're going to go down to, what is that? It's that's negative 20. What is it? 23 negative. I'm not a math guy. Okay, so minus 32, so 25.
It'll be minus 28.
It'll be minus 28. Okay, then divide that by 2.
No, it's minus 27 because I'm dumb.
Minus 20. See, hey, listen, this is
And then you
live
divide by 2.
and we're not cheating.
We'll teach you how to breathe, but why are you
Yeah.
mathing us right now?
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
It's been a long day. So that would be okay. If it's, so I guess that would be what, negative 14. Now I'm going to try, I'm going to actually decide to check my math here. So 5 Fahrenheit into Celsius.
5 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to minus 15 degrees Celsius.
I'm going to take that as a win. I'm going to say that is a win, Papa Geek. Thank you for challenging our brains. It's been a long day. I got to say, I'm a bit fatigued. This close, I exercised. I went to the gym this morning and I haven't been able to shower. I have just been working on stuff all day.
I am really happy about this digital meeting.
Exactly. Well, you've smelled me before, and you've smelled me at my
in the
worst.
wrong context. That can be taken so many different ways. I don't come up behind Jesse and go, your odor is no.
Well, one time he did. One time, well, he didn't do that. No, but one time I remember it was actually, and I feel terrible about this to this day. We were in San Jose, and we were backstage, and I actually farted, and he walked up right afterwards, and
that was a lovely moment.
I was like, oh geez, Chuck, I'm gonna just say I'm sorry right now. I just I was like, Chuck, I farted, and you're like, yeah, you did. Yeah. He was nice.
You're gonna be going on stage in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
The thing, it was one of those times whenever you felt like you were safe, no one was around. I was like, okay, I can, by the time it dissipates, no one's going to be the wiser. Then poor Chuck walked up. He was trying to say, hey, friend, how you doing? And then I was like, yeah, well. So anyway, Samantha Beard says she just started reading my book. Hey, thank you so much, Samantha. She said she's loving it so far. Papa Geek says also, thanks for linking me to your shop instead of the Amazon one. Currently reading on my Paperwhite. Awesome. Yeah. If you're looking for the ebook version and you don't want to go through Amazon, I do have it on my website. What I found out is the version of my ebook that's on Amazon, it doesn't work for all Kindles. But I do have, it's weird.
That makes sense that they'd have a product that they sell that doesn't work on their stuff.
Yeah, I went through the Kindle publishing and all this stuff. And anyway, so, but if you're looking for one that does work on, I think all Kindles will read PDFs. So if you go to my website, jessecoomer.com, it's on there. You get a PDF copy and an EPUB copy. So you should be able to read it on all Kindles. And all, digital readers. There are so many different files out there. I don't know, I can't, create one for every single kind of file format, but I tried to do the big ones there. So, but hey, Chuck, I want to be respectful of your time. I know this was last minute, and I'm just really so happy that we got to spend this time together. It's just hanging out this is the fastest hour of my day today. So I really do appreciate you coming
This has
on,
been a great
friend.
time. Thank you. I'm having a great time too. And I hear my baby grumbling out there. So,
well, we got to get the baby, back to daddy. So guys, I want to thank everybody for being with us today. We'll be doing this again sometime soon. I try to get Chuck on as much as I can, and it just happened to work today. So hey, just happy that it did work. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to go out there and be nice to people.